Today we finish the characters you will need to know for our first lesson. Please notice today that there are 3 videos, and this is the first one. Let's get right to work. After this set of notes, you will be able to read and write 13 hiragana characters. You will also be able to read and write 5 katakana characters. That's a lot of memorization. Please keep it up. Our first character today is A. A is created using 3 strokes. As usual, the first stroke is the horizontal stroke, and the second stroke is the vertical stroke. Are you catching a pattern here? They will stop. The third stroke is like that curly stroke in me that we learned last class, and it comes to a tail. So let's try this together. As you write the character, remember to say the pronunciation. So stroke 1 is horizontal, stroke 2 is vertical, and stroke 3 curls around to a tail. A. To remember this character and its pronunciation, just look at the center of the character. Can you see the letter A? And of course we pronounce A. Perhaps you can think of something a little bit more creative. E is 2 quick strokes. The first stroke goes down and hooks as your brush or pen or pencil moves to the top of stroke 2. And stroke 2 is just a short stroke going down and it stops. So now let's try this together. Stroke 1 hooks as we move to stroke 2. Stroke 2 goes down and stops. E. To remember this, just think about eating with a fork and a spoon. U is also 2 simple strokes. The first stroke is a quick short stroke across the top that hooks as you move your brush to the beginning of the second stroke. Stroke 2 starts below and to the left of stroke 1. Starts by heading right but quickly curves around down to the left where the brush creates a tail. Let's try this. Stroke 1 comes across and hooks as we move to stroke 2. Stroke 2 starts to the right but curves around and tails to the left. U. Have you ever had the experience of being hit in the stomach with a baseball and grunting, "Ooh"? Maybe not. Maybe you'll need to think of something better for you. No, you're not looking at A again. However, O does often get confused with A. Like A, it is also 3 strokes, and the first stroke is the horizontal one. It stops. However, notice that the second stroke begins vertical, but at the bottom it quickly turns and does a curly Q, kind of like meh. The third stroke is the stroke off to the right of the first stroke, and it just goes down and stops. It's quite short. So let's try this. Stroke 1 is horizontal. Stroke 2 goes down, then quickly turns and does a curly Q. And stroke 3 is a short stroke that stops. O. To remember this, think about when you were a kid and you had that ogre under your bed, and that ogre was always about to eat you. Yeah, I'm sure you can come up with a better way to remember this character. Our next character is Ka, and believe it or not, we're going to start with that horizontal looking stroke. The only thing is it does a quick right angle and goes down to the bottom and hooks. Stroke 2, as usual, is that vertical stroke, so it's going to come down through stroke 1. And stroke 3 is a short stroke off to the side of stroke 1. Now this often ends in a hook, though it doesn't need to. Some fonts don't use it. Some fonts, like this one here, don't use the hook on stroke 3. Here's another one without a hook. So whether you hook or not on the third stroke is up to you. So let's try this together. Stroke 1 goes across and makes an abrupt sharp turn down and hooks as we move the brush to stroke 2, which goes down and stops. And then stroke 3 is a nice short stroke that hooks or not. Ka. Now to remember this, you may think of a rooster looking up at the morning sun and saying, "Cock-a-doodle-doo." What other images does ka bring to mind? Our next character is ki. I wonder what our first two strokes are. You guessed it. They're these strokes that are almost horizontal, but it's very important that strokes 1 and 2 angle up just a little bit, because the third stroke, which is the one that goes down between them, is actually perpendicular to strokes 1 and 2, and it needs to be slanted. Notice that it ends in a hook as your brush moves to stroke 4, which is that horizontalish stroke across the bottom, which stops. An important note here about computer fonts. Many fonts will actually connect strokes 3 and 4, like this one here. Keep in mind, these types of things are stylistic changes, and we do it with our Western characters too. Does this A look anything like this A? At least the kana characters just connect strokes. They don't completely change their appearance. So now let's try drawing ki together. Stroke 1 goes across. Stroke 2 also goes across. It's parallel but longer. Stroke 3 goes down and hooks as we move to stroke 4, which goes across the bottom and stops. Ki. Best thing I could come up with on this one is an old-fashioned ki. It's not a perfect fit for the character. Perhaps you have a better figure to unlock your memorization powers. Ka and ki are from the Kagyo, so their pronunciations can be altered using the Dakuten. If we take ka and we add the Dakuten, we get ga. If we take ki and we add the Dakuten, we get gi. This is the first set of hiragana for today. Take some time to memorize these characters, then watch the next video. Remember, there are 3 videos today.